is an item for the board, and each of us have a clean copy of the contract that, until we approve it, is not public, but as soon as we approve the item, it will be. So, item 7, I would like to move the item. We had a fairly lengthy discussion in executive session, but if anyone has any questions or comments.
I'll move the item so we can.
No, I moved the item.
I'm
So do
sorry,
you
I'll
want a
second so we can have
Okay.
discussion.
Great. Ms. Foster and then Dr. Stegeman.
I'm sorry, this is a contract, not the evaluation, or is it kind of together?
No, this is the contract that
is the
we're approving. The evaluation is in executive session.
Okay, okay. And so I just want to, and this goes up into 2018, correct? This is a 3-year term?
Correct.
And so I just want to, for people who were really, I think 2 years is the average
For our district,
for
yes.
our district. And so this would keep
Less,
Dr. Sanchez for
total of 5.
3 more years. So a total of 5
years.
years, which is stability, which we know is key. And I know a lot of people, when you came here, were absolutely convinced you would be chewed up and spit out within 6 months. And we're at this end of year 2, and you're interested in 3 more years, and I'm very excited to support this.
Just as a reminder for the board, Dr. Sanchez's evaluation was based on our strategic plan. And every aspect of that plan was 100%, in some areas even a little more. And so I'm glad to support an extension of Dr. Sanchez's contract. I think that he's provided real advocacy in this role, and in the 13 years that I've been here, we haven't had that kind of legislative advocacy at the state level. We haven't had an invitation to go to the White House before, so that's pretty great. But I do think that, in moving forward with a strategic plan, which we didn't have in this district, moving forward with professional learning communities and growing our own principals and moving into growing our own teachers, I think that those are all really huge, important, and significant steps for this district. I think that we've had more and more positive coverage for the district and positive feedback. I've had meetings with people who have historically not had a lot of really positive things to say, that are just really happy with the fact that so many people are saying such wonderful things about the district. And so, is everything perfect? No, but everything is a work in progress, and I think that we're making really great strides in this district. So I have a motion and a second on the contract. Dr. Stegeman.
I have a question and a couple of comments. Since the appointment of the superintendent, and by implication, the contract, is one of the board's most important tasks by most reckonings, would the maker of the motion or someone else like to explain, for benefit of the public, what are the main changes in the contract? I mean, what is actually being voted on?
I don't know how much can be discussed until the item is approved, but I'm just,
Counsel?
because we did have a fairly lengthy discussion in executive session. So I think that all of the highlights were reviewed, but I'm not sure. I know that the document is public as soon as we approve it.
And are we allowed to take it apart now?
That's why I'm asking.
Right.
I'm not sure, because I know that it is confidential until it is approved.
It would be considered confidential until approved. I think there might be some leeway for some very general statements that aren't exactly
3-year.
specific,
Yeah.
Okay,
but
all right. Dr. Stegman, did you have a
So
follow-up?
now I have a process question. Under what statute is that true? Because we voted on many contracts in the past where the contract is right out in the open before it's being approved. We're not doing a procurement, so what statute or policy says that the terms of the contract cannot be revealed before adoption? I mean,
I
it's sitting.
certainly am not going to be able to tell you right now from the dais what statute or policy, but my advice would be to keep the specifics confidential. But if you want to talk about like the term, if there's an extension of a term, you could talk about an extension of a term.
We, since I'm the maker of the motion, so I'll let, did you have any other comment? And then I'll have Dr.
Yeah, I
Juarez.
did, but I'd rather make those after the content is described,
Okay.
whatever extent you
I'm
want to
going to go
describe
ahead and
it.
turn it over to Mr. Juarez.
I got a quick, I guess, reminder of, I mean, and again, I don't have a Juris Doctorate, but we were provided with the draft of the language that was then asked for by council. And so, again, this is all an executive session. We're not trying to hide anything, but I certainly don't want us to get into any sort of trouble for violating executive session. And certainly, I don't think there's anything that we would hide. I mean, this contract is pretty clear cut, so I have every confidence in you to generalize some of those changes.
Okay, so there's a change. This is an extension of Dr. Sanchez's contract. The period it's 3 years, beginning July 1, 2015, ending June 30th, 2018. So the complete term would be an additional 3 years. So at the completion of this, it would be 5 years. That Dr. Sanchez would be superintendent in TUSD. There is a slight increase in the annual base, and then a slight increase every year thereafter. So like one for 2014-15, it says the base, and then 2015-16, 2016-17, and 2017-18, there is an increase there. This one isn't the redlined one, so it makes it a little hard for me to pick out. There were very few areas that were modified, but I think the one that Dr. Sanchez took out was travel expenses from Odessa. He's here, so he doesn't need that. And
To line.
there was a change in the paid leave days, if I remember. Because when Dr. Sanchez came in, we had an expectation that that the whole district was going to move to a lesser amount of paid leave days. And so we asked Dr. Sanchez to agree to that, acknowledging that the rest of the district was going to move in line with those, and then that never happened. So this is basically making Dr. Sanchez's contract the same as other administrators. And there is a similar incentive, definitely not the same amount, but an incentive that doesn't change his last contract, but it changes 2016, 2017. There is an incentive at the end of each of those years. I think,
That covers it.
without going into incredible detail, since, again, this will be a public document when it's voted on, so everyone will be able to look at that.
Can we put our phones in silent, please?
Thanks. Dr. Stegman.
Okay, so then I'll proceed to my comments. I am very concerned about superintendent stability in the district, and I think this would be a very bad time, and any time in the next few months would be a very bad time to commence a new search for a superintendent. I think that would put us into an election year with all the problems of that, and so I think that whole set of considerations, I think the district wants stability, argues very strongly for not making a change. On the other hand, I'm concerned that the first that I heard about any of the terms of the new contract was when I got here this evening. I knew nothing about what was being proposed until just a few hours ago, and that's, in my mind, very quick. And I do have a couple of concerns about the compensation part, but given the advice of legal counsel, I guess I won't say anything about that for the moment.
Ms.
So-
Grijalva?
Are you done, Dr. Stegman?
Yeah, so I'll just state my intention. I'm going to abstain on this because I don't want, I'm sort of stuck. And I don't abstain on many votes, but I don't want to see the district go through a search process and change superintendents right now. But I am very concerned about how this has come forward and the speed of it.
Ms. Grijalva?
Mr. Juarez.
I would say, first and foremost, that Dr. Stegeman, you're abstaining on this one, but I would highly advise you to start reading some of this email. We received a draft version of this over a month ago. So some of these specifics were provided because they were in executive session. But I don't see anything again in this contract that would preclude anyone from voting. And I, for one, have no interest in doing a search for another superintendent at this point. It would be like getting a company that's getting its momentum and then changing CEOs. And I hope you don't perceive this as a personal attack on you. It's more the process that you're referring to that I put in question. Because, like I said, we were able to look at some of this stuff in generalities, but really we weren't able to make this decision until this meeting today. And I think that's by statute.
Ms. Garava,
Mr. Hicks?
I don't recall seeing an email with this contract or any part of the contract coming through email. And if it did
that's not
come
what I
in
said.
through,
It is.
it is what you said.
I'm sorry, but that's not what I intended to say. I said that we knew we were going to be talking about this. We knew we were going to be talking about this over a month ago. I never said that we sent a copy of the contract. We knew the generalities because we have the same contract when we hired him.
Okay.
I'm sorry if that's how it came out, Mr. Hicks.
Well, no, that is how it came out. You can go back to the.
I don't need to. I'm
minutes
telling
of
you
it.
that that's not what I intended.
And if we've had even the generalities, especially if it came into an email, then that no longer makes it it makes it public information and no longer confidential.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think one of the concerns that I have is the perception that we had any other information. I did have a conversation with Dr. Sanchez about the timing of when we were going to put this item on the agenda because we have a statute requirement that we can only speak about it 15 months before the end of his contract, which is why it's coming now. I did have an opportunity to talk with him about this when we were here in a public meeting for Agenda Committee. But in general, I think that Dr. Sanchez had an opportunity to speak to us during our one-on-ones to see if this was something that we wanted to move forward. Because nobody wants to put a contract out there and not have support to move forward. So I did not have this contract at all until this meeting. I think we do have an issue, unfortunately, with sharing this information. And I believe it was legal advice to not have it out until this meeting. And also, Ms. Wall actually requested these copies back as soon as we were done here. So whether it's a public document or not, that any request would need to go through our either, I believe it's staff services.
Ms. Grijalva, may I have another opportunity to clarify the record? Because I don't want to be and I apologize if that's how it came out. That's really not what I intended to say. What I intended to say was that we knew that this process, I mean, you keep talking about you don't have anything against the persons, but you have something against the process. I mean, Ms. Foster brought out a stack of information on the candidates, and I have a problem with that because it puts in question the qualifications and the level of professionalism that we have in our staff, and including Dr. Sanchez. So I'm concerned that we continue to go out in public. When we had an opportunity in executive session to talk about this, Ms. Grijalva asked all of us if we had anything else to add. So again, if you all perceive that that's what I was saying, if any member of the audience perceive that, that's not what I intended to say.
Any other question? Ms. Foster?
Was this done the same in the past, Dr. Stegman? When you voted for
I
other
do not
superintendents?
recall a previous instance in which the superintendent's, the first draft was brought and then something was adopted during basically the same meeting.
Do you remember, Ms. Grijalva?
It has happened in the past, and I think that the memory, Dr. Stegman might remember it differently because he might have been president at the time, and usually the superintendent and president work together on some contract information. So maybe-
When would, okay.
I don't remember it being, I mean, in the time that I've been here, I don't remember every detail about the two previous superintendents, but I'm sure we can get the information, Dr. Stegman.
I'll stand by my comment.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Grijalva?
Yes.
And I did want to, because when I clarified if we could talk about the evaluation piece with this, because we had a lengthy conversation in evaluating the superintendent's performance and in exec, and I just want to reiterate that those goals were set last year. The goals were part of the strategic plan, and at our last board meeting, we were given the whole big end-of-year report where we had evidence, a whole portfolio of how these 5 goals under the 5 goals, what are these 25 goals in total, had been met. And we have all of this overwhelming evidence that we're even further ahead in the strategic plan than, so we've gone beyond those goals. And so that's why I'm definitely want to support this contract, because we have a superintendent who met these goals. And we know, we talked about leadership who is drawn, they are drawn out of our district, and it's not the time to take our superintendent, to have it, I should say, to have another district take our superintendent. And so I definitely think it's important that we move on this tonight.
Okay. Dr. Stegeman?
I want to note for the record, I'm a little concerned about the remarks about what was going on in executive session.
That
Your
we
concern
evaluated
Specific?
the,
Well, I
Specific, please.
that we evaluated the superintendent according to the strategic plan goals.
That was.
I don't want to say anything about what we were doing in executive session. I'm
Okay.
just concerned about that with the conversation wanders into that.
Okay.
And then when I talked about the report last week that was presented out here, and that was when we as a community looked at if we met those goals, that's where that conversation happened, and we showed that those goals had been met here at our last board meeting.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Is that correct? On the contract. Okay, motion and a second. I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hicks,
No.
Mr. Juarez,
Yes.
Dr. Stegeman,
I'll abstain.
Ms. Foster,
Yes.
Ms. Grijalva.
Yes. Congratulations. Yay. Do you want to run through a parade? You guys can run through a parade.
We'll go down there and shake
You guys make them a little teepee thing, and so we can run through that.
If I may,
Yeah,
Just
yes,
a few-
Dr. Sanchez, go ahead.
just like to, I'd like to make it, I'd like to make it very clear that my intention is to fulfill the full, yeah,
She ran
no.
to come do it. She ran to come.
I think you should.
I think you should.
I think you should go do it.
Go down there.
Go. Go.
Yeah, if all the directors come down, then okay, sure.
There you go, they're there.
Oh,
Go.
Lord.
Okay.
Get down
All
there.
right, then I'll say
Take a little
few
break,
things.
go ahead.
Let's get down there and do that. Hey, where's the... That's what I'm talking